to address upskilling your teams to be able to host consultative conversations with purpose. There are a number of hurdles for all revenue engine teams from sales, sales management, customer success and marketing when trying to develop consultative selling skills. Many don't have a lot of experience in the businesses that they're selling into. Say a sales team is focused on selling software into retailers. To be effective, the revenue engine teams need to develop a good understanding of some of the standard business challenges that retailers face. You can help your teams to upskill their knowledge in a number of different ways. Industry experts. There are a number of companies that analyse industries and their trends for financial investors, as an example. All this information can provide teams some phenomenal grounding in the trends, challenges and nuances that their customers could be facing. Some of this information will be customer specific, but most of it probably industry or sector specific. It is still valuable though, and you can use key trends and challenges from the basis of a point of view for all your revenue engine teams. A point of view document is a document that outlines the key challenges, trends and links to your solution for those customers. It's a summarised approach, so you don't need to develop War and Peace, not a large document that is. From a general understanding of the industry, salespeople and customer success can now add customer-specific information from their account planning activities into that point of view. Again, you don't want to use too much time researching, so use brainstorming techniques like hub and spoke, like we do, to do some quick analysis and refine the basis for that point of view for your customer. Recall though that a point of view does not have to be perfect. That's the danger, wanting to be perfect and cover all types of customer challenges. But that's not realistic and not needed. You want good content and real data points to come up with a potential value add that you can bring to a customer and then begin using it. All revenue engine teams can use a point of view to build rapport and credibility with customers quicker. Give it a try with your teams in your organisation. Another challenge the teams face is that from an enablement standpoint, many tend to focus on selling your product, not how to consult around your product or solution. Of course, all the teams need to know about your solution. However, that's not all they need. Look to add more consultative skills training so the teams can think differently and not just approach a customer with a fixed mindset. I've also heard many managers complain about how different the current generation are. Millennials and Gen Zs are not really different from other generations in that they all want to be involved in meaningful work. We all do, at any and every age. So many salespeople I know are dropping out of sales to try and find their purpose. They'll ask, how can sales become a fulfilling career? Most of these salespeople typically haven't seen their product in action. They haven't seen the impact that it can bring to a client. So let them sit in on customer success calls and presentations, particularly if customers are making those presentations to their own executives and teams. So then they can learn and they can tap into that passion that your customers have for your solution and use it for themselves. Marketing often tried to fill the gap with personas for salespeople. But personas don't bring the real day-to-day problems to life to engage effectively. Hence, large corporations develop teams of industry specialists. The reality is that customer success, sales managers, marketing managers, and many of the back office teams will not have seen or understand how and why customers see benefit at the enterprise level of your solutions. Without that understanding, all the revenue generating teams can't improve their conversations in a more consultative direction. So put some training moments in place to upskill their knowledge between your teams. Another issue is that across the revenue engine employees, they fail to handle objections effectively. So they don't tap into the true business impact in the customer's language. That's a typical one. Often they can't upgrade or upsell consultatively to increase revenue and deliver increased value. Another one is that they struggle to understand the complexities of many buyers and their buyer's journey that they get involved with, particularly at the enterprise level. So addressing these three areas with techniques that we've been sharing in this video and the others in the series will enable improved performance across the teams. It shows up differently at a manager level too. You can't prioritise which RFPs or RFIs to respond to or not. If you can't, you're wasting time and money and resources by responding probably to the wrong ones. You can't tell when you're column A, that preferred choice, or column B, that backup choice, but not the preferred choice. It becomes difficult and cloudy. You can't be the best choice if you can't address the risk in your buyer's mind, as we've talked about before. All these issues lead to an increase in cost of sales and an increase in longer sales cycle and potential customer churn, even if your product is great. Then you'll run out of time and money, and that results in a big challenge. We've walked through a number of techniques that you can use to address these issues across your revenue engine. So look at where your largest holes are in your buyer journey and strategic revenue engine map and prioritize which to address accordingly. The final ingredients that we're focused on now is to bring all of this to life inside of your organization. And you're going to see those in the next videos. If you've enjoyed this video and want to learn more, contact us at therevenge.com. We look forward to being able to help you add resilience into your revenue engine from lead to renewal. You can also call me directly or email me at chris_fletcher@hawordu.com.